What's up guys, welcome to another episode. So in this video I'm basically just gonna pick up where I left off and continue the process of building my wiring harness. So if you guys didn't see the first part, all I'm doing is taking my factory Honda wiring harness and breaking it down, stripping it down, making it more simple, and then I'm basically just gonna rebuild and reroute the wiring in a way that I want it. So I'm basically like doing a wire tuck, along with that kind of like redoing the factory harness to make it like a custom harness. And this is basically just like a budget way of building one of those rye wire harnesses or something, you know. It's definitely not gonna be the same quality, but I'm not paying like $1,200 for it, you know. So my main goal for today is to basically get my dash in. That way I can build like a little wire panel behind the dash. Once I have that, then I can start measuring all the lengths for all the wiring. And basically I want to work on building myself like a mock-up harness out of like rope. So once I have a mock-up harness on where I know where I want the connections, where I like how long I want everything, then from there I could take the harness out of the car and actually start building a harness, you know. So yeah, so that's the main goal for today. I'll get started on that. See you guys there. Alright, and here we are. Here's just a quick little update. So I have the dashboard just roughly mounted. I just have the screws ran through. Alright, and the main reason why I wanted to kind of just like mount the dash in place is just so I can kind of like measure everything out, because I do want to make myself like a little electrical panel, basically like for the Fusebox, ECU, and all that stuff, just so I could kind of mount it in place, nice and tucked away like under the dash. So yeah, so basically I just mounted the dash in place, kind of get a feel for how much room I had back there, and so I could measure everything up. So yeah, you can see there's a lot of room for activities back there. So yeah, so that's what I'm gonna get started on now, just measuring everything up, and then I'm gonna get started on making myself like a little electrical panel. And the main idea for the electrical panel is I'm basically just gonna get like a sheet of aluminum, like a plate of aluminum, and just kind of cut it out so it can kind of fit mounted up back there behind the dash. And then from there I do want to make sure that I can mount the ECU, the fuse box, circuit breaker, and the resistor box for the injectors. Alright, and here you go. Here's the little electric panel that I made right here. So basically I'm just going to have the fuse box mounted up top, and for this I did have to kind of cut the back out a little bit just so the connectors could actually go through. Then right here basically there's going to be, this is like the main power, where power comes in, and then this is going to be where the alternator charges. So for the alternator I'm just going to cut a hole right there and just kind of make it go through in the back. And then for the charge harness, this one's going to be coming from the little kill switch. So then that's going to come down, kind of go over there towards the kill switch. And then, I mean, that's all going to be wired. That's pretty straightforward. And ECU down here. So this is going to be mounted kind of like on the passenger side, right behind the glove box. So it should kind of be out of the way. I mean, you're probably only going to be seeing like the ECU if you're sitting in the passenger seat. So that should be pretty clean. And yeah, so the next thing is just trying to figure out how to get this mounted inside the car. So for that, I am going to have to take the dash out again and just kind of take all the wiring out of the car. And then yeah, once all of that's out, then I can start mocking this up and go from there. And for those of you guys who want to know how I made this panel right here, basically I just went to IMS, got a big old sheet of aluminum. I just kind of measured up behind the dash, just kind of how big I wanted it, cut it out, and then from there just kind of mocked all these pieces on the board. From there I just drilled out the holes and then just put riv nuts in them. So you can just see they're just riv nuts, and basically what the riv nuts help out with, they just make it so that in the future whenever you have to tighten it and loosen it, you don't have to get like a wrench or anything on the backside to hold a nut in place or anything. So
this just makes it really easy to service if you do need to take any of these things off in the future, you know. So yeah. All right, and then with the dash in place, I actually did just put that like little electrical panel behind the dash, just kind of like where I am going to mount it. And then basically what I did, if you kind of see this rope, I basically just ran the rope on the inside, just like where I'm going to be connecting all these wires. And this is just so I can get a better idea for the lengths of wiring. So, I mean, again, this isn't perfect, obviously, but the main idea is just so I can get an idea for lengths in between all the different branch points and all the different connections. So basically what's going on is, so I mean, right here, so that is basically going to be going to the fuse box. This one right here is going to be going to the ECU. This goes to the dashboard harness. That's going to be going through the firewall. And then this one right here is going to be going to the under dash fuse box on the driver's side. Then basically these things are where it goes to the behind the fenders. That's where it's going to be going to the front of the car. And then this wire back here is going to be going to the battery and then to the fuel pump. So again, this is just to get an idea, or just so I can have a measurement of how long these wires need to run. So when I actually take the actual harness out of the car, I can build the harness according to these lengths right here. And this should give me a way cleaner look and just kind of make the harness a lot more simple. Yeah. Alright, and then really quick, here's the bezel for the car right here, so you can see the bezel for the dash. And then this cutout right here, this is where all the AC controls used to go. So this big old box right here, that's where that goes. And I basically just cut myself this piece of aluminum here, just so I can kind of put that there, block that off, and then also use this to mount the gauges that I'm going to use. So I do have 3 gauges, and I'm hoping I can fit them all in here, if not just 2, but yeah, I think I should be able to fit all of them. Alright, so I just got the dash out one more time, and what I got to do now is rip out the entire harness. Then I actually get to start building the harness, and then it'll be ready to install for the final time. And yeah, I'm honestly not too excited about this, just because this is probably going to be a very time consuming process to build the harness. But I am excited because after this, it's basically going to be ready to drive, so yes. So I'm going to go ahead and just get started on taking out the harness. And yeah, so since everything's all stripped out, this shouldn't be too hard of a process. So yeah, I'll get this done real quick and I'll get back to you guys with an update. Alright guys, and there you have it. I have officially gone back a lot of steps. So the main harness over here is no longer in. You will see a couple wires here. That's basically just like the wires for the battery. The chassis harness that kind of goes back there, and then the chassis harness that goes to the lights and stuff. Here's so you can get a closer look at the little panel. So the plans for mounting this at the moment are basically just, I think I'm gonna get 90-degree pieces of aluminum for this, and what I want to do is riv nut this part up here and then have it so that it's just like a 90 like this, you know, boom. And then I'll be able to bolt it up here. And once I bolt it up all the way up there, then I'll be able to bolt it onto this right here, which at that point, I'm probably just gonna be able to put riv nuts down here, or I'll be able to use the factory studs, because there's a couple studs down there as well. So I might be able to use those. The glove box is like basically up to like right here, so you're only gonna be seeing the ECU chilling there, and if you do peek under, you'll see the fuse box and the rest of the stuff there. Oh yeah, and here's just a little bit of a closer look at the little kill switch. So with these wires, I did just get these cables. These are 4-gauge cables, and I got them just because they're quick, you know, they have the little things on them. But for these aren't really the best. So I am gonna be like cutting these and then putting my own ends on these, so they could be like 90s if I need them, or get like the right angles that I need. And then right here is the harness. So basically have that entire thing going on. So, and then this part right here is the main thing that I want to address. So basically, like, if you follow the harness, this is where it goes out the passenger side, and then that's where it goes out the driver's side. You can see that this is the dash harness. So this is like right in the middle, and then this is the big issue here. This is the whole nest of things. So basically right here, since all the wires are kind of converging in the middle to go out into the firewall, there's a lot of excess wire here. With all this excess wire, what I'm gonna have to do is cut it and shorten it. So yeah, that should be pretty straightforward. And then the plan from there, once I do kind of have this harness in a way where it doesn't look like a complete nightmare right here, and all these wires are just cleaned up and it is kind of like one nice harness, then from there I could actually get started on looming it and heat shrinking it and get it ready to install. And I do also have this right here, which is the little mock-up little harness thing just for measurements and lengths and stuff. And I do also have this right here, which is the engine harness. So yeah, and with this one, I am just going to need to reroute a couple wires back into the engine bay, like the thing for the fuse. So like this thing right here for the fuse, I did put some tape on it just to kind of remember that. So this needs to be routed back in, and then the connector for the resistor box, this thing I will need to route back in. So in order to route this back into the engine bay, I will need to extend this wire right here, just because that's obviously really short. So I will need to cut that and extend it just so I can route that back in. And I am going to be adding a wire to the engine harness as well, and that is this guy here. It's going to be the wire for water temp sensor. So I do need to add this cable in there, but again, that's not really that difficult, and I'm not really at that step. So from here, I'm just gonna take this home with me, be working on it during the week. That way I can get stuff done, and yeah, and I'll get back to you when I have an update from there. Alright guys, and here you have it. So I do have this panel fully mounted, and you guys saw me putting the riv nuts and everything for these little tabs down at the bottom. So I did keep it really simple, and the basic idea is just it's going to be resting on these two tabs. Then from there I'm going to put it up and then bolt it down up here. So I did mount these two little 90-degree tabs up top. And basically with those tabs, I just have a riv nut on the tab, and I have a riv nut up here mounting the tabs to the top. And then down here, I have a riv nut back here mounting these tabs. And there's nothing really going to be holding this piece on these tabs down at the bottom, just because there is like an angle to it. So if you see, it keeps it secure there. It'll keep it in place, and yeah, it's pretty solid. The only thing that I am kind of concerned about with that mounting is rattling and noise. I don't want it to be rattling. I don't want it to be really noisy. So with that, what I am planning on doing is on these tabs, I'm either going to put some sort of like a foam or a rubber or something like that, just adhesive that on there, just to kind of keep the noises down, and also just kind of add a little bit of space just so it can be a little bit of a tighter fit on there. So that should help out with like this rattling right here, you know. So it is a little loud, but I mean, it's solid, like it's solidly mounted on there, so that's not going anywhere. Another thing as well is there's a lot of room back here behind the panel, just because for the fuse box there's going to be the wires getting connected in the back. Some of the wires are going to be kind of routing behind the panel. So yeah, so there it is. Panel is fully mounted, and now since this is fully mounted, I can go through and get like real measurements as far as where everything is going to be routed. Then from there I can actually finish up the harness. Oh yeah, and one more thing, for those of you guys out there who are like me and are worried about how this is looking, I am going to be like cleaning all this stuff up as far as like all those little metal tabs. I'm going to be cutting them a little bit nicer. I probably will like kind of like brush this panel or maybe paint it or something. I don't want it to look like this. I was thinking about kind of like brushing it, like giving it that like a aluminum like brushed look, or painting it like a black. But I'm not too sure on that yet. Comment down below if you guys have any ideas. And just so you guys know, the ECU is going to be black, so not too sure how that's going to look. But I mean, other than that, I'm just going to go through, cut these tabs a little bit shorter here, clean everything up, maybe paint it, and that is that. So I'll work on that, and I'll get back to you guys with an update on the wiring harness. Alright, and this is where I have the engine harness. So, I mean, it might look just like it did when it was like in the engine bay on the previous videos, but I went through and just like tidied everything up a lot more, especially like where it was like under the ITBs and stuff. So this whole area where it goes to the firewall and stuff, I pretty much tidied it up to the point where it's gonna be just like one solid harness. So when it comes time to wrapping everything up and looming it and stuff, it can be a lot easier to work with. And I did also get rid of the plug for the external ignition coil. So yeah, you can kind of see I just spliced the wire right here, and basically that's just going to be inside with a fuse. So I did get the engine harness to a good point right now, where it is ready to like loom up and everything. So I will test fit this one last time before I actually do dress the wires up for the last time. And I am currently working on the interior harness as we speak. I've just been kind of working on that. I am deep in that. Alright guys, and here we are. I just went through and kind of cleaned these tabs up a little bit. I kind of chopped these two tabs down here. I cut the tab up here and just kind of rounded off the corners a little bit so you can kind of see they're not really like harsh corners. And now that the tabs are all in place, looking good, I just kind of wanted to show you guys just how easy it is to actually like mount this thing with this. So just basically put it on these tabs down below, line the holes up, and put your bolts in. Just like that. Boom. This one's... And just like that, mount it up. So, there you go. Yeah, that's super straightforward to install and uninstall. And now that the tab is cut off up top, should be able to fit that guy on there just like that. But again, I am thinking about like painting this or doing something with the surface of this. So yeah, so it's not getting mounted just yet. This is just so I can get my measurements that I need so I can finish building the wiring harness. So this is where I'm going to leave off for this video. I'm gonna wrap it up here. So that does mean I am going to be making another part to this wiring video. So I might possibly do 4 videos for the wiring on this car. So in the next video, I'm going to show you guys what I've been doing to the interior harness, what I've been doing to modify that. And then from there, hopefully on the next video, I can get started on, dressing up the wiring and looming it. But that's if all my parts do come in time, because I am waiting for a lot of supplies to come in for my wiring and everything like that. As soon as that gets in, I can finish the process of building my wiring harness. So I'm gonna get out of here. Make sure you guys hit the thumbs up, drop a comment, and if you guys aren't already, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.